for like a really good flare on that one. Alright, what's up everyone? I'm Zach, Vile Builds. Behind me I have my E36 Ecotec swapped compact. Now, it's had a lot of traction recently on Instagram and TikTok and all that. I've had a lot of questions lately and I thought I would actually sit down and run how I did this build. Now, truth be told, I didn't actually know what the fuck I was doing. I got to give a lot of credit to BC Customworks, Brenton. Shout out to him on this one. He knew what he was doing. He did the swap first before I did. I blew up originally the M44 that was in it and was tossing up what to do because I love this car. I love the compact. It's always been one of my favorite cars I've actually ever owned. And so I was tossing up what to chuck at it because I didn't want to put an M52 in it. That was one of the options, but I didn't want to do that. I was tossing up a 1UZ because I noticed a lot of the guys over in Poland did it, but you know, you're looking at like a 3-4 grand engine these days. And so I was one night chatting to Brenton. I was like, fuck, what do I do? I've got 2 M43s, so I could trade shit for shit. Or alternatively, you know, what if I were to do the 1UZ? What if I were to just go fuck it and chuck an M52 in it, buy another 36, just transfer that across? And he was like, why don't you do an Ecotec? I was like, what is involved with that? And so we sat down, had a bit of a chat about how he went about his. And I kind of made up my mind that night. I was like, fuck it, balls to the wall. You know what? I'm going to pull the trigger on it. We're going to start tearing into it. So with the help of myself, Shannon, and Toby at the time, an old friend of mine, we got to tearing apart the compact. So we pulled the engine out within the weekend. We had it all stripped down to where it needed to be, pulled out all the interior because I like it. Don't need it, it's a track car. I think that was everything we touched on the interior. We didn't actually touch that much. We just pulled out everything from the back seats to the boot. And then it sat around for about 3 months while I got all the parts together. So, you're probably wondering what had to transfer across, like what could stay, what couldn't stay. So when it came down to it, the gearbox, the original Getrag that came in the E36, the Commodores use a Getrag box, the 36 uses a Getrag box as well. So when it came down to the timing of like putting it all across and all that sort of stuff, it was actually fairly easy because they're both Getrag boxes. The Getrag mounting brackets from the 36 box, we just pulled that off, mounted up to the Getrag Commodore box, bolted it up onto that. We took the output shaft from the 36 Getrag, changed it over into the Commodore Getrag, so now the Commodore box is running an E36 output shaft, has the E36 mounting brackets, and it just bolted straight up. That was all we had to do for that. We did, however, have to change how the shifter mounted because it's just in a slightly different position. We had to create a custom shifter linkage. Had a mind blank on that one, just because the spacing and everything was a bit different on that one, but that wasn't really too hard to do. So then, yeah, that all mounts up to the factory E36 compact drive shaft, and so I haven't actually had to touch anything in terms of diff, axles, drive shaft, all that's still factory, untouched. Putting the actual engine in was a fun exercise and a half. So this is where Brenton came in really big clutch with his fabrication skills. So the engine mounts were custom made. Obviously you can't buy a kit. We're hoping to change that somewhat soon. So we're just working on that at the moment in the background of things. So we're hopefully having a drop-in kit available. So you just buy the engine mounts. And then I'll go through everything else in this video, probably put links down below so that way then you know exactly what to find or where to find this shit. So yeah, custom engine mounts. We had to do custom manifold on the driver's side purely because the setup for the inline 4 was designed for that, exactly the inline 4. So when we had to chuck in the exhaust manifold, we had to obviously custom make it. So part of it is, I have to double check this actually. Yeah, so we got the Commodore exhaust manifold, and then we've just had to modify it around the steering column. Other than that, we really didn't touch the other side. The rest of the whole system itself, actually, from the headers backwards, had to be custom made. What else did we do? Oh yeah, we did some tuning. So obviously, chucking in that ECU, had to have the EWS deleted, and then Brenton did the tuning as well on that one. So he put a little goodies, made it feel fucking nice, shoot some solid flames out of its ass. We did the battery relocation to the boot because there's no longer space for it to sit in the front, because E36 compacts have the counterintuitive system of putting the battery in the front in the engine bay, rather than with every other 36 model where it sits in the boot. So that was another change we had to do for that. In terms of the dash, the only things that weren't displayed was tacho and coolant temperatures. So obviously we lost those two when we did the engine swap. So the solution for that was just aftermarket gauges. So that's all I chucked into it. The other big important thing to note, now this is a really big one, is the sump. Now when you have the Ecotec sump, right, the main part of the oil sits at the front, right? Now the E36 has its entire front subframe in the way. So you either have to rise it stupidly high and then you end up with the inability to close your bonnet, or there's this mob down south, I'll drop the link below, they make sumps that fit the other way around. So the main part where all the oil sits is actually in the rear instead of the front. So that was another conversion that had to be done. That was fairly simple. It was just buy that, bolt it on. That made it sit within the confines of the bonnet and the engine bay really nicely. It's actually surprisingly not the lowest point. I thought, because it sits a little bit lower than where the front subframe is, my lowest point is still my exhaust, because the exhaust tunnel for the 36 was meant for that single system, but because we got a V6 now in it, we've had to make a meet in the middle, and that is now my lowest point. So, which is great, because every time I hear scraping or scrubbing of any kind of metal on the road or on track, I know 100% that it's not, that it's nothing important, it's just the exhaust system. So that's really nice and comforting. I've also gone and chucked a hydro in it as well, so there's that. Engine side, what else was there? Oh yeah, the cooling system. So the cooling system side of things, just running a Civic radiator at the moment, with a Turbo Civic Shroud and electric fan setup. That worked really well for the first few events, but we ran into some overheating issues at Matsuri with hot lapping it, driving it around and that kind of thing. And we did a little bit of road testing down at the workshop. That was completely fine because it had that nice little airflow going through it, but when you're sideways consistently, it doesn't seem to be holding up to those temps too well. So I'm in the process of sussing out whether an E36 6-banger radiator, or the other recommendation I had was an S13 with a double pass mod done to it to just get it that extra bit of cooling, because my temps were hitting 120 when I was hot lapping it. I wasn't too happy with that. But we're going to come to the fun parts about the Ecotec swap and why I did it. So the main reason was an M52 these days cost around $1,000 to about $1,500, depending on the condition. Obviously, depends on where that price range sits, but that's generally where a majority of them sit. Now, Ecotecs on the other hand are about $300 to buy, $300, $400. If you buy a whole ass Commodore for $1,000, 9 times out of 10 you can make that $1,000 back, making the engine free. I've now had to do that a few times because this is also on its second engine, purely because I didn't check the oil. So after we did the swap, I didn't check the oil, got way too ahead of myself, did a burnout, gave the thing rod knock, and then let it sit for too long, didn't look at it properly, and got the main bearings seized up. So they were deformed, and yeah, that was a big problem. What else? Yeah, so $300 versus $1,500. With the $1,500 option, you basically have everything to drop in, plug and play. There's really not too much involved with swapping in a E36 M52 into an E36. The chassis generally are pretty fine with taking that in. Whereas the Ecotec, obviously, it's required a fair bit of modification to get in and do that side of things. And without Brenton, I would have been stumbling in the dark for a long time. But yeah. So, the easiest way to look at it is the M52 versus Ecotec. Ecotec is expensive to do but cheap to maintain, and in that sense it is easy to find Ecotec parts for cheap. On its second power steering pump, because the first one blew up, that again cost me like $20 to replace. Whereas an E36 M52 power steering, they're a little bit harder to chase down. The M52 is expensive to do and expensive to maintain in comparison to the Ecotec solution. But yeah, as I said, once you've done everything for the conversion with the sump, the engine mounts, the gearbox side of things, you now, every time you blow up an Ecotec, it is about a $200, $300 replacement. It is relatively cheap to do, very easy to do. And once you've done it once, you've got everything set up. You just pull apart the shit that you had to modify, transfer it across to the next engine, and you're good to go. I will say, in terms of power, it is actually really, really nice. The Ecotecs were designed for the Holden Commodore. With the amount of weight that those things are, they're absolute boats. If you've ever driven one, they are an absolute boat. They are great at skid pigs and tip-ins and that side of things. They're unbelievably hard to control sideways. Mad props to anyone who does drift one of those Commodore sedans. I don't know how the fuck you do it so well. But in saying that, that amount of power, I think it's... Let me Google this, actually. I don't want to spout the wrong numbers. Let's just quickly whip out these figures. Yeah, so from factory, it delivers typically around 204 horsepower. The compact from factory with its M43 makes 96 horsepower at its factory peak. I have doubled the amount of factory horsepower straight off the bat, plus a little bit extra. With that being said, how light the chassis is with how much power that engine delivers, it is more than enough to carry you sideways for days. I have had immense fun in this car with how light it is and how easy it is to slide. When I was drifting out Matsuri, it was really fun to do in the dry. I was off throttle in a fair few cases of sliding around, and it just carried because it's got that much momentum. Going through first, second, I can just snap between the two gears and I will struggle to get traction. So that's another thing I need to play around with, is my tire compounds and what I'm running there. What else have I got to say about this piece of shit? So, in usual, go on me for a second. So, in usual me style, it's getting darker than I originally anticipated, so we're going to whip out the good old Costco flashlight to help show off some shit. Alright, so if we come over here, you can have a look at the engine mounts that we made down there. The big cylinders. We've got it going to solid engine mounts. Honestly, I'm happy with it. The vibrations, everyone was really worried about it and telling me I should stress about it. I was not stressed, I did fucking anyway. I'm happy with the solid engine mounts. It really does not create that much vibrational difference to the point where I'm fucking annoyed. If you have a look over here, you can see how close the manifold is and where the custom work was done to mate up with the rest of the eco shit exhaust system is for the headers. Just because of how tight it is to that steering column is why we had to modify it. As you can see, it probably never would have cleared at all. So that was really fun to do. We went through and we also taped up and tidied up the shit out of the loom, the engine loom, just to make it that much more tidier and more efficient and being able to work on it. What else? The pressure release thing? Oh yeah, that was another tricky thing when doing this, is the fact that the highest point, technically at the point in time when we were playing around with this before this was in, the highest point was over here, so bleeding this whole cooling system was a little bit of a bitch and a half. So what we do is we got this, and then we jack the shit out of the car to make that the highest point, so it makes it easier to bleed the cooling system and make sure it's all good. As I said, I got to redo this cooling system a little bit just to make it that much more efficient and definitely cooling down a lot more, because it doesn't really like hot lapping at the moment. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the angle kit real quickly. So with the angle kit, we've got 40mm extended cut and shut lower control arms. We've had the knuckles adjusted to make the Ackerman really nice. Then we got coilovers all around. Max PP rods. Please, Max Speeding Rods, sponsor me. I am going through your coilovers like there is no tomorrow. And no, before anyone fucking says it's because max speeding rods are shit. No, they're not. They're fucking cheap for a reason. You get what you buy, alright? If you have $1,500, go buy fucking BCs. But honestly, PP rods, I'm really happy with them. Problem is, I'm static as shit on all my cars, and I do anything but drive them softly. So I'm blowing through the internal, the actual shock system itself. I'm blowing those up, so then I'm relying purely on the spring side of things. In terms of the rears, I'm going through those at like a rate of 4 rears to 1 set of fronts. It's really fucking bad. But honestly, I'm happy with max speeding rods. As I said, you get what you pay for. Fucking, the best part about this is if I crash this piece of shit, I can go on Marketplace and buy $50 PP rods and then just swap over the parts that aren't fucked on either set and make one good set for $50. Try and do that with BCs, you bitches. Oh, dude, don't even get me started. Oh yeah, so another little thing over here is you probably can't tell, but that is where the ECU is tucked away nicely. The ECU lives there. Yeah, kind of see it. What else? Fuck, I can't really show off the sump, eh? But I can point out, and this is what I was talking about here. This whole front subframe, the power steering rack and all that sort of shit gets in the way of where your sump normally sits on an Ecotec. So it's the same shit, just, you know, obviously reversed around to make accommodations for that. Fuck, we might as well go show off the rest of this. Come on, follow me. You're gonna have to like come through here and then shoot into the car. Should be unlocked. I don't think I ever locked this cunt. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Fix my car for me? So, I don't know how well you can see in the interior. Oh, that wasn't important.
Kinda.
Alright. Yeah, so as you can see, you've got my 2 little gauges. So one of those is tacho, the other one is coolant. Speedo and fuel still work because I never touched the fuel system. It's still the same fuel pump and everything. And speedo is measured off, if I'm not mistaken, one of the two. I'm not sure which fucking one, but I'll just cut to whichever one's right so that way I don't look stupid. We got the good old bucket. We got the good old bucket seat up in this bitch. Yeah, that's just running like your eBay fucking solid mount chassis mounted shifter. Like it was like $80 off eBay, honestly. That was nothing special. What else? Ugh. We'll come to the boot. Ugh. So yeah, you can see the battery system in the back here. Just runs along the transmission tunnel and then just plugs into wherever it's supposed to be. You can see that red wire near the front area over there near the seat. Kind of hard to see. It's like over there. There's that.
Oh,
yeah.
I've never
So
noticed that before.
the power cable runs like directly beside the seat, so it's pretty cool like that. The ground is just running to the chassis as it normally does. It's got a battery box from Super Cheap bolted down, running into there. The water bottles are there because I needed somewhere to padding, some form of padding to stop the battery moving around. Other than that, yeah, really didn't touch much in terms of the boot. It was just strip it out. I've got a strut brace, yeah. And you can see how much room you get in a compact. It's hard to find that kind of shit with a 36. I mean, you can fold down the seats in the coupe, but like, it's still limited by that like small window there. Whereas compact, holy shit, you can fit like at least 6 people sitting, not squashed in or in the boot, like actually actively sitting there playing Uno.
Is that usual compact owner behaviors?
Playing Uno on the back of a compact? Probably. I don't fucking know.
You don't have any compact friends, do you?
No. I'm so lonely. Got the fat exhaust tip sitting there. So the whole system is just like, it's just basically straight pipe to that rear part there where it just runs a cannon. It's not too raspy, it doesn't sound like too much shit. I think that's purely because of the fact it's not running as long as the boat of a Commodore that most people run that system in, so it doesn't actually sound too shit. You can see the BC customworks because Brenton does a lot of my fabbing work, so obviously he looks after me a lot, so I try to look after him as much as I can as well and represent. You know, credit where credit's due. Could not have done this swap without Brenton. Then you got Riley Smythe. They're an architecture firm. They sponsor me as well, so they pay a bit to get the stickers on the car. I hit them up when I needed money for the sump because that was about $700 back in the day. Because it's all custom made, so I can't really complain. So I was like, I need money, so I hit up Riley Smythe Architects, and I was like, hey, $800, and you get a sticker on that window, back window, side window, front window as well. They're like, all right,
Every side of the car.
yeah. If anyone else wants to sponsor me, I'm always broke as shit, so feel free to, you know, sponsor me. Oh yeah, the paint job. Hang on, we'll come up here.
It's getting very dark. The picture's looking very ass.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll make it work. So there's the paint work that's been done to it. Shout out to Talakai for the paint job on it. Absolutely amazing work. Love it. I'll actually probably end up showing some better footage, none of this shit, but yeah, no, you got my voiceover in it anyway. But yeah. So, the paint job and the story behind that. So I saw some guy over in Europe paint his E39 in a spray paint job. It's like block lettering and it looks sick as shit. And I was like, I really want to do that. I haven't actually seen that. I've always loved drift liveries, but I also like standing out a little bit more. So a better way to one-up a drift livery than looking like you left it in fucking Logan for too long. And so I messaged a whole bunch of people who like spray paint and all that sort of shit. And I was talking to a mate and I was like, look, I can't find someone. Do you know anyone? And hit up everyone and anyone I could. And he recommended Talakai. So I had a quick scroll through Talakai's Instagram. I was like, oh, I don't really see too much. I saw like maybe 2 or 3 posts of the spray paint work that he's done. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Shooting the shot in the dark. We got 2 days before the Friday night drift where the car was supposed to debut. Hit him up and I was like, look, short notice, happy to pay. Could you do it? And he got back to me that same, like within an hour he got back to me. And he's like, look, I'd be keen to do it. I can make it work. Does this afternoon sound good? I was like, fucking oath it does. So he came through, I prepped the car, and he kind of just let the canvas be him. I was like, I want vial builds on the sides where you've got that little stripe. I want vial builds on the back duck lip. The rest of it is entirely your canvas. I'm going to give you full artistic freedom. And so Talakai did an absolutely amazing job on it. Cannot thank him enough. He fucking exceeded expectations, hands down. And I'm absolutely still in love with this paint job to this day, which is part of the reason why I won't probably ever see the street. With the amount of, I don't know how to phrase it politely, the attraction that it gets. You know, obviously it'll get a lot of attraction from both the general public and QPS. And I'm sure QPS are going to have a fucking field day with my ass. As it already is. So I was like, that's part of the reason why I'm staying in a track car. But yeah, absolutely love the paint job. Fucking in love with it. Every time I look at that car, I just fall in love with the paint job. And so does the public by the seeming of it. Like, it grabs a lot of attention. It grabs a lot of attention. It's great for that purpose. I can have all my mates in the grandstands and they can easily pick me out from everyone else on when I'm going out on track. So I don't really need to be worried about whether I'm getting footage or videos or anything like that, or whether they can see me doing something fucking stupid. Like skimming barriers, because I apparently have a really bad habit of doing that. Between Max's car and now, you know, all the videos from Matsuri of me skimming the barriers on the front end. It's just, I love running that close inside line. I really need to get into a habit of smacking the rear end, considering how many rear end panels I have laying around and lights and everything. Overall, I'm really happy with the Ecotec swap. It was one of the best things I've ever done for that car. It's given it new life. It gives it a lot of power. It's a lot of fun. Still got a lot more to do to it. As I said, I want to upgrade the cooling system, make it a lot more happier in that terms. I want to go lower, and for the E36 with the rear end, you got to do the adjustable toe brackets. I need to massage the frame of the car a little bit to be able to do subframe rises to pull it up a little bit more as well, because you can only get so much toe adjustment with those aftermarket options. Because as of right now, it is as low as it can go with the minimal toe impact, and it's still fairly high. I'm not happy with the height. Really do want to change that. Other than bucket seats and the height of the car and the cooling system, there's really nothing else I'd change on it. I absolutely am in love with it. As I keep saying like every 10 seconds in this video. But yeah, that's about it. Feel free to hit up me on Instagram. Vile Builds is across all my socials. It's the same handle everywhere. If you have any questions, queries, or want to know more about any in particular parts. But yeah, always happy to help. Always happy to help with any questions, queries, concerns. We also have Facebook, Vile Builds, same deal there. Message page. That pretty much sums it up. So yeah, hope you guys all like the video. I plan on doing a lot more on more of the build. I didn't actually expect it to get this much traction and enthusiasm over the swap. But then again, it's not exactly a common swap, so I can understand why everyone's fascinated with the eco shit and the compact. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, feel free to message, like, subscribe, follow the channel for more. We're planning on going to the next match series. Do have Rayleigh dabbled in there somewhere along the lines. And yeah, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.